Hey there, I'm Marinchella, and today I guess you'll notice I'm looking a bit mismatched, and yeah, sure, maybe it looks kind of Christmassy, but I suppose I should tell you why. My winter clothes are in the wash, because they have blood all over them. Blood that is not my own. Now, before you decide that I am a murderous psychopath, please allow me to explain. Last night I quite literally did the opposite of murder, and, I almost saved a man's life. It was sticky business, and I'm really quite traumatised, but, I can only hope that he's still safe. I call this segment Bloody Wednesday. What you say? Today I had actually planned to make an entirely different video, but I figured that this one was like more on topic, more appropriate, and I literally can't think or talk about anything else right now. Wednesday was a train wreck from start to finish. For a start, I was already super hungover from my Electric 6 gig that was on Tuesday night, and I had to get up super early to catch a train to London. First mishap being my mum had forgotten to book train tickets in the quiet coach, which, we usually do. Which meant crying babies and loud business people talking on their phones while I was trying to sleep. I managed to sleep a little bit, but I then had a stiff neck and had to get off a train into this blistering cold abyss. My mum then ordered the wrong coffee drink from the wrong store. Somehow she managed to go into a Pret-a-Manger instead of a Starbucks. Then we were late for a hospital appointment because London is too big and scary and it started to rain. For my literal appointment I had to sit for an hour with a tube in my arm and have numerous tests to make sure I'm not an abnormal human being and that I'm happy and healthy. But it is sort of a living hell when you can't really feel alive because you're all plugged in. I'm fine, by the way, just in case, any of you cared. This guy came into me and my mother's life when we had just caught the train home from London. There was an old man wobbling along in front of us, climbing the escalators as one does, and my mum was eyeing him up, very cautiously, because he was very much pissing drunk. I was almost directly behind this fellow, and when things took a turn for the worst, when he literally did a 360 and fella backwards down onto his head, slanted on an escalator and moving downwards as the stairs went up. My mum went to hit the emergency stop, and this guy was just sort of helplessly lying there while I was trying to hold up his head to make sure he was alright. I mean, he wasn't. We turned around, we sat him down on the step and sort of reorientate the poor guy, and we were explaining to him how he'd hit his head and, he was just telling us exactly how fine he actually was. Mate, I really don't think you're fine when you get blood all over my clothes and my hands and my mum's hands. Looking at the back of his head, we noticed there's this big fucking bloody mess on the back of his scalp where he had literally cracked his skull. We were sort of painted in red and, trying to convince this guy to go to hospital, but he wasn't having any of it. And literally an NHS official, who just so happened to be coming down the stairs at this very time, was also telling him to go to hospital. And, you think the guy would have got the point by then, but no, he wasn't having any. He then proceeded to tell us his entire life story and how he'd had so many operations and really did not want to go fucking back to A&E. And then the poor fucker started crying and telling us how upset he was, not over the fact that he could have died or that he was in pain or that he'd have to go back to hospital, but because he was so sad that the escalator, of all things, the escalator had been immobilised and other people wouldn't be able to use it. I'm not really sure what that says about him or what that says about us, but we took him home in a taxi because he was literally refusing to go back to hospital, and, we were too short and too weak to force him. What would you have done in this situation, to be perfectly honest? Because please fucking tell me, in the comments or something, because I was, frozen stiff from having a man nearly die in my arms. Or, you know, what do you think we should do now? Because we have this guy's name and address. So, Paul, buddy, you know, hope you're safe. Despite all this upset and trauma, it honest to God didn't stop him from trying to chat up my mum.
Stay tuned, assholes.
I suppose I should tell you